The Sisters Grimm podcast is intended for mature audiences only. Please listen at your own discretion.
Welcome to the Sisters Grimm podcast. This is Holly.
And Morgan's here.
And I'm high.
And I'm drunk. We are doing the drunk versus high review again, you guys. And guess who's drunk again? It's Morgan.
It's not me. I'm pretty stoned. Last time I had
edibles.
They were like chewy chocolate fudgies or some shit. Like fudgies.
Okay.
I don't know.
Oh, you had the fudgies, the tubey ones? The ones that kind of look like Tootsie Rolls?
They look like big ass Tootsie Rolls?
Yeah.
Yeah, they have like an indica and a sativa, and I forget which one I took last time. Probably a sativa.
But this time
I did a good old-fashioned gravity bong.
Holly made a gravity bong for you guys.
Out of a mason jar. Yeah, for you guys.
Because otherwise she was just gonna be smoking like a regular pipe, and she was like, you know what? No, I'm gonna really commit.
Yeah, and I'm to do that. So something we haven't mentioned over the past 2 episodes.
Can I talk about what I drank?
No, not yet. I want to really quick talk about how we have a new theme song.
Oh yeah, do you guys like it?
Yeah.
I mean, Holly made it.
In like 5 seconds.
Literally, Holly just was like, would this be funny? And she like made it, and I was like, no, that's everything.
And then, yeah, we recorded it on the phone, and then we made it the thing, because we're on Spotify now, so we want to, stick to those cool guidelines.
Yeah. I am definitely a little drunk.
Definitely. So let's get into the movie.
Let me talk about what I had to drink. I had 2 dirty martinis, and then I had a glass of Francis Ford Coppola Chardonnay, which was delicious. And now I am back on my Snoop Dogg red wine life.
Snoop.
And we watched Malignant.
And it was weird.
Listen.
It was so weird.
I was so honestly very excited because I love James Wan. And actually, it's crazy because I was kind of looking at his at least directorial history today, and he really hasn't actually directed that many movies. And so I was really excited for this movie. I was excited that it came out free on HBO. I love that HBO does that. But we definitely have stuff to talk about.
I mean, I'm just going to say now, I didn't really care before, and I don't really care now. And so my life has not been impacted whatsoever. Okay. Other than the fact that while I was watching the movie, it was the craziest thing. So I will just say that this movie starts at 100 from right off the bat, which already I don't like movies like that.
So neither of us went in knowing anything about it. All we knew that it was a James Wan movie.
And I figured it had something to do with cancer if it's malignant.
And also,
that's what the word malignant
for anyone who maybe hasn't listened to all of our other episodes or just isn't as aware of James, he made like Insidious, The Conjuring. He also made the Saw movies. He was the original creator of Saw, and like
he made the Saw movies. I thought that
was he's who directed, and then Lee Winnell wrote.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, they're a team. But anyway, so that's James.
Okay, so, like, the cold open, I guess, of this movie is absolutely
bonkers.
It's, like, at a insane asylum that looks like the fucking...
Or just a hospital?
Like a big-ass castle in presumably Washington, because that's where this takes place. So this movie has a lot of vibes from a lot of different movies. Like, a lot of The Ring. Also, it's very, like giallo, very, very, like, Dario Argento.
Yeah.
Literally, like, with the lighting and literally...
We were also...
he wears black gloves and then the dagger,
the shots, too.
The dagger, and the lighting,
and the way that they, like, were shooting back and forth really fast. But that was also kind of Saw.
I mean, maybe. I mean... Since he made
at least those quick shots. But we actually, throughout the film when we were watching, like, we kept being like, okay, this seems to be a reference to this. Okay, this seems like a reference to this. Oh, this is definitely a reference to this. Like, it very much so gives off, and what I've heard of other people who are talking about and reviewing this movie, is it seems like it's giving just tons of references to 90s to, like, 2010 horror movies. Like, it's very much so like it's supposed to be like a love story to that.
that's what this movie is supposed to be.
That's what people have said. I don't know if James has said that.
I don't think so. For me, this is because I remember him saying he was going in like a completely different route. Yeah. I think this is
he did.
This is his take on body horror.
Yes.
This is his version of body horror.
Yeah, I would say yeah.
And it's definite. If it's not inspired by Giallo, then I don't know who the fuck he is.
So just give a teeny description of Giallo for those of us who maybe haven't seen it.
Italian movies, mostly made by Dario Argento in like the 70s, and
they were heavy on the body horror.
The colors were just very bright, vivid, and red. And like the lighting that you see in a lot of horror movies now, I feel like goes back to that. Also, like
the red
the killer
for sure
was always very like you never saw their face. They always had like a knife, and they always wore black gloves, which they made a big deal out of in this movie. So he wasn't going to that, but it was also, I mean, so it's this girl, basically. They go to it's back in the 90s.
Her name's Madison.
And then they go to the present day, and it's this girl, and she's pregnant, and her husband's like a dick. And then all of a sudden, like, you think like a shadow monster has appeared. And it's like, what
hair
the fuck is going on? It looks like just hair.
It's just, that's when we got like Samara Ring vibes heavy.
Yeah, so we're like, clearly this actress is wearing a wig. And then it's like, clearly this actress is wearing a wig. And then I'm like, I think that actor is just a wig.
Wig.
But, so it's a wig.
Within a wig. It's wigception.
But the more people that the wig kills, the more of a like corporeal, like an actual like physical.
It becomes
body.
more of a sentient being, but also
at the
it
same
does
time,
seem like
but
that.
That's also
yes,
not even the fucking case whatsoever.
Well, what I was
life.
gonna say is that yes, at first it kind of seemed that way, but then it just totally railroaded away from that and
then
was no longer that
and it was no
at
longer
all.
That whatsoever. No.
And then it was definitely more of like a Harry Potter, the first one. Professor Quirrell with Voldemort on the back of his head
want to get
vibe.
To the huge twist.
That's the twist. Basically, you find out this girl. So
we're only 7 minutes in, and we're already going with the twist.
Listen, I'm trying to save you guys a big headache because I love James. First of all, I will say the shots in this movie are gorgeous.
Yeah.
The art direction and like the sets in this movie, amazing, iconic, gorgeous, beautiful, everything, like so good, like that. But the story is, and I won't even say the dialogue. The dialogue doesn't even bother me. It's just the story and the plot that really ruined this movie for me. Would you agree?
In the moment, I think it was really good. You continually being like, this is bad, that made it not good for me.
Sorry. I'm being real with you.
Well, keep it to yourself.
No.
Because it was ruining it for me, because at first it was really terrifying and, like, scared me, and then you ruined it for
I will
me.
say, there was definitely scary parts. So, like, the way that... Okay, so I kind of ruined it by saying that this thing was like on the back of her head. But anyways, at the beginning of the movie, you didn't know what this character or who this character was, and
you
the way
knew
that
they were sick at parkour.
Well, and you also knew that the only way that it could communicate was via
radio.
Yeah, literally radio, like phones, kind of.
And it had like okay. So, yeah, it is a symbiotic twin thing, but then why does she have fucking the capability to manipulate electricity?
And I will say, the voice that, like, was used for that kind of communication, like, it was scary, but, like, some of the stuff that it said, it was, like, weird and, like, not scary.
You just said you liked the dialogue.
Okay, you know what? Actually, I will take back that. That was the only parts of the movie that really scared me, I will say, because they're actually, and I know James doesn't necessarily love doing jump scares, and there really weren't very many jump scares at all. If there were, they were in the beginning, and like they were kind of far and few.
There was a lot. I yelled a lot, like the part where you definitely
yelled
runs
a lot.
By. Well, because when it's her doing all of this. and you're like, what the fuck? Why does this body look so weird? And it's because she's going backwards because it's
oh my God.
I did a little research on like parasitic twins, or it's what in this movie is considered a like extreme version of teratoma, which are tumors that consist of hair, teeth, muscle, and bones. But if they're parasitic, that means that one is feeding off of the other. And so she's pregnant, and she gets pregnant a lot.
They never really follow that up, though.
Yeah, they do.
He's what keeps killing the baby?
He kills the baby. Yeah.
Okay, that you just made that make sense to me.
Right. And so she gets it on the back of her head, literally Professor Quirrell, Voldemort style.
Literally. But also, well, like it opened like a little pussy on the back of her head, and then at the end it closes like a little pussy on the back of her head.
Okay, I think that's more of you being drunk. It is her head cracked. Doesn't mean her pussy is on. So you think?
But it's also a movie about babies, which is vaginal.
So you think that her pussy is on her head?
I think her pussy's on her head.
Okay, well, I am thinking with reason, and you were thinking with Snoop Dogg wine.
I'm thinking with the Snoop Cali blend. Everybody shout it out.
So I was just going to say, so teratomas do not normally happen Voldemort style. They usually occur like once you hit puberty, and in women they happen in your ovaries, testicles, and men, and in the tailbone of children.
So, and what do you mean that they happen? Like, what happens?
It means that you get a tumor that has
So, hang on. Can I tell this story?
And shit. What story?
The story Paul told me.
I don't know. Ask Paul.
Well, no. Okay, so the guy I'm seeing, my boyfriend Paul, he told me about this crazy story about somebody that he knows that he went to high school with who got this like thing in his neck, and they tested it because they were worried that it might have been a tumor or something, and they found out that it was like his twin, and they had to like remove it.
It wasn't his twin.
It was.
No, just because did it have hair, teeth, and bone?
Holly,
in it?
yes, that's exactly what they said. They said it was your twin.
Okay, well, it's technically a tumor. It's a germ cell that contains different aspects of a human being, but it's not like there wasn't a brain ever in there.
It doesn't have cognitive function.
It's not a twin because you did not come out of the same zygote.
But that's the thing. That's what makes it a twin, is that it did come from the same egg. So that's what makes it a twin. I'm pretty sure.
I mean, I'm reading from what the National Cancer Institute
But what did they say?
They said a teratoma is a type of germ cell that may contain several different types of tissue, but they're not like actual twins of them.
Okay, give or take, you guys.
You were not born.
We are not scientists, and we are not trying to pretend to be or try to pretend to completely 100% understand what this is. I'm just telling you a story that I heard.
Yeah. Like the person who made the movie, I mean, they are more common in the tailbone, but like someone's twin coming out of the butt would have been a completely different
why?
movie.
Because it's close to your belly button? You think it'd be like belly button action, because like that's what you connect with?
Your tailbone?
Okay, tailbone, belly button, kind of in the same area, but like backwards.
And she's backwards? I don't know, girl.
Oh my God, it looks like someone's crab walking for like half of the movie.
Oh my God. And she's really good going through little holes.
Oh my God,
really
there's
fast.
a whole chase scene.
My God, it's so stupid.
James Wan definitely loves police chase scenes, and there's one in this movie that does not disappoint. There is some of the craziest parkour work that I've ever seen, and I will say,
I'm looking up who her fucking stunt double is now, because if she did her own stunts, I'm gonna fucking
period.
I don't even know.
What would it even be called? Like just there was a part where I literally turned to Holly and I was like, "Is she Simone Biles now?"
Oh yeah, no, she like basically does the uneven bars.
She literally does like a bar trick.
She like floats through the air, and she's
It's
going
insane.
backwards.
And then they like end up in this weird underground area where there's all these carriages.
A real place. It's like an underground
carriage
tour.
Parking garage.
Well, it's a tour. It's like where part of Seattle used to be. I don't know. It's like a real tour.
Okay.
Real tour.
I don't know much about Seattle. I would love to visit.
I know that there's the Sky Needle, and I know that it's rainy, and we saw both those things in this movie.
It also gives off very Vibes.
And that is
Twilight.
That was Twilight? Okay, I thought so, but I didn't want to. Oh, yeah, no. That is really, really Twilight. How do I check up? Would they be part of cast and crew?
They would be lower than cast and crew because they would be under
stunt.
yeah.
Stunt,
not lower than, just under.
Stunt performer.
Because, yeah, I will say the stunts done in this movie are wild.
Heather Bonomo.
Go off, Queen.
Go the fuck off, Heather.
Go the fuck off, Heather.
Heather is...
Heather is carrying the weight of this entire film on her shoulders.
Heather Bonomo, great fucking name.
Slay.
By the way. What did you say she was in? It said she was like in an episode of Black... Oh, no.
This movie definitely didn't have any well-known actors at all. Like, everyone I had not seen in anything else. I know the main girl has been in other things, but nothing I had personally seen.
The one detective, the really hot guy, he was in that one show, Containment, that we started watching with Mom. He was one of the doctors in that.
Oh, I remember. Oh,
yeah.
I would actually kind of like to finish that show.
Not me. I'm kind of not into watching things about quarantining. It's kind of like...
Anyway,
like I watched Outbreak twice at the very beginning.
Why twice?
Well, I watched it when it first started happening.
And then you watched it with us?
I watched it when it was like, this is never going to happen. And then I watched it when it was like, you cannot go anywhere. And now I don't want to watch things like
I think it was like April of 2020 that we watched it.
I don't need to watch that kind of things because I've lived through it. At the time it was kind of like, whoa, weird, mirroring life, imaging or life imitating art. And now it's just like, okay, it's been like
now it's kind of like, okay, it's not that bad here. Anyways, so something that maybe it was again because I have been drinking or because I wasn't paying as close of attention as I could have. I don't feel like the whole mom thing got wrapped up well. Like, she was just like trapped in the attic, and that was like a big deal because like you thought she was trapped somewhere like random, and then you find out she's trapped in the same house that everything has been happening in.
Yeah,
but then like it didn't really come to fruition other than you just found out that she was the mom of the girl, and then like it didn't matter.
What else did you need from that?
I don't know. A little bit more. Like, why had that happened to the mom?
Alive.
Like, maybe something weird happened when she was conceiving her or something. But it was just kind of like a, who knows?
She just gave him up because she didn't want to deal with that.
Well, and it kind of seemed like they went to, like, science for a little bit of the time, because I'm going to call them they because it was two people.
They went to science.
It literally looks like they were taken to science. Yes, it's the way that your body, if you're an organ donor at the end, you're literally taken to science. That's what it's called.
Being taken to science?
Yeah.
Just the word.
Because you are now no longer a human being. You are parts that are going to be used in scientific research or in medical,
I didn't know
whatever.
that was like the official term.
It could be. It could not be, but I think it is.
It doesn't sound
Anyways,
right,
that was the only part that for me felt slightly like unfinished. And also like I kind of wish the movie had ended on like some sort of like a different kind of positive note. Like I sort of wish, and I know like so what's confusing
it
also
ended on a good note.
So what I didn't love is that, and maybe this is me being a total bitch, but like I feel like it could have been cool if she had met someone, and so then by the end of the film, maybe she's actually pregnant and now can actually have a baby, because that seems like that was like her initial struggle, and then it didn't get finished. Kind of the way, and I
guess they should have done that. Yeah, they should have done that.
At the beginning of the movie, when Holly and I first started watching it, it first started getting scary, like with that first like scare where the boyfriend gets like taken. There was like a blender going, and I literally turned to Holly and I said, Chekhov's blender. Nothing happened with the blender. Well, you can't show a blender blade and not have it do something.
James Wan does that. He does he does shots of like dangerous looking things. It's not always necessarily.
Yeah, but that doesn't work for me.
Well, I mean, like, there's a reason.
There's a reason.
Chekhov's gun is a gun, and the blender is a blender. But I know what you mean. But like, he just
they shouldn't have showed us a macro shot of those blades if they weren't going to do something. It's one thing to just have it going and it be a loud noise.
She ended up stabbing him or she
Not with
going
that.
up stabbing. It's just, I think it's just like something dangerous.
Yeah, it's definitely tension, but it's not. It should have been followed through.
You think that someone should have died by a blender?
It should have. If you're gonna use a blender and blender blades to scare people, it needs to be at least somewhat put into action.
It's a dumb macro shot otherwise.
Mm-hmm. So if you were to rate this movie on a scale of, I'll give you 1 to 10 because I feel like that's easier than 1 to 5.
That's a very good question. I don't know. I don't really know. It was good, but it was also not very good.
Look up the rating on IMDb. I'm sorry.
I don't want that to color my opinion before I think of it, though.
I know mine.
I mean, was it
mine?
good?
I'm going to say mine.
I don't know. Well, are you not going to let me think?
3.3. Because
you came up with such a fucking weird system, and you're going with, and now you're going
1 to 10 is a weird system?
For you to then choose a decimal, yeah.
I don't think so. Anyways, I'm saying 3.3 because it kept my attention pretty much the whole time. I wasn't like actively like this fucking sucks while I was watching it. The shots were really good. Again, like I said, the set direction, all of the like the decorative elements, the makeup, even like all of that crazy ass like footage they did of like the parkour stuff, like some of that had to be digital and it was done really well.
I mean, the like face
but story wise
stuff,
not so much.
The face stuff was obviously had to be CGI and it looked okay. I mean, I know Tom Savini could have done that practically beautifully.
Way better, yeah.
And I think it would have looked gorgeous.
So if you had to give it a score.
I had to give it a score. Let me see.
Don't let my score hinder your score.
Oh, you mean your 3.3?
Yeah, I don't know why you think that's so weird.
Because you
people score things like that all the time.
But
I don't know what's so weird about it.
But why couldn't it be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6,
that was
7, 8, 9,
exactly
10.
where I felt it landed in my heart of hearts.
Okay, well then mine is 3.14159.
Cool. Good for you.
No, do you not know what number that is?
Yeah, you're doing pi.
Oh.
It's 3.14 and then it goes into a crazy bunch of other numbers.
1459 something.
Holly thinks pi of this movie.
Yeah, I think pi. Honestly, I think pi, honestly.
Okay, we're giving this movie a pi.
You give it a 3.3 and I give it pi.
It's pi.
It's pi for me.
I really did hoped and wish this would be better. I really also hope and wish that the next time you and I are doing this, we're doing it about Candyman. The new one.
We should do Candyman.
I think we should.
Next.
Yeah. Also, really quickly, again, we're drunk and we're high talking about this, but Holly and I did have this discussion the other day about how we think that we kind of want to not completely change the format and like promise that forever it will be this way, but we both have just sort of found that
true crime bums us out a lot.
As we're getting older and...
Well, just the times.
A
lot of empathy is running very thin.
It is very hard to research murder and stuff like that, cases and stuff like movies like this where, yes, it was like a super fun movie to watch. It was also a little crazy. Like that actually is something that like doesn't bum me out because it's literally...
And chopped into pieces.
Yeah, with movies, you can go off into another place. That's the whole point of movies, is that you're literally going into a different place when you're watching them. It's not the same thing when you're researching true crime. Like, I know listening to a true crime podcast and zoning out and, like, cleaning your apartment or driving or whatever you're doing, that's a totally different form of it. But actually going into the researching really and looking and learning,
to a lot
that too. Yeah, totally.
Too, just the same way. I mean, yeah, it just starts to wear on you. It was like the last true crime one we did, and I was talking about
Texas
Dean Coral.
Yeah.
And it was just, I was just reading like, and it's just,
it felt really
just
repetitive
so
because it usually is really repetitive.
It's just fucked up. And also on that note, I just personally, I don't know. My relationship towards... I mean, I obviously have never thought that it's okay to disrespect victims and their families. I just feel so much more like I want to more so. Like, for example, there are now 2 new Ted Bundy movies out.
Mm-hmm.
And the thing is that, like, every time one of those comes out, those families have to deal with it all over again.
And over
and especially with the Ted Bundy case, the majority of those families, they never, ever found the body. He fucked and jerked them around. They never found their daughter's bodies. They never actually knew what happened because he was a huge fucking piece of shit. And people need to stop. Okay, was the one with Elijah Wood really fucking good? Yes. Am I mad
I do want to watch
about the Chad Michael Murray one that's going to be coming out? Yes. Will I watch it?
Stop making hot actors from our childhood Ted Bundy. Please, I'm begging you.
Millennials have enough going on for you to confuse us like that.
Yeah,
okay?
we didn't need Zac Efron and Chad Michael Murray to both be Ted Bundy.
Ted Bundy.
Yeah, guess what? That song that's like out and like popular right now, that Ted Bundy really wasn't that fucking good looking. He was just kind of charming, is so true. He was not that fucking good looking, and he really wasn't that charming.
There's a song out about Ted Bundy?
Yeah, there's that song, and it's like, I don't remember exactly everything, but she's
that's like really
pointed. She says like a bunch of shit, and then she goes, but he's ugly, and I'm glad he's dead.
I mean, yeah.
But something else I wanted to say and just kind of talk about really quickly.
Some girl on TikTok, not to go off, but some girl on TikTok like claimed to be Ted Bundy's granddaughter.
Oh my God.
Was lying, and people
people are
freaked
gonna
out
do that
on her.
Okay, so I've been really into these 2 new podcasts lately. One of them is called Bingetopia, and one of them is called You're Wrong About. If you haven't listened to those, listen. But specifically on the Bingetopia one, I did a whole episode about like just women's obsession with true crime and like why we're so obsessed with it. And they made some really good points. And I don't remember, and I don't even necessarily think it's that bad that I don't know the exact name because I almost feel like that's better. But this person basically has posted online about how he is so disturbed and horrified by the obsession with true crime because his, I believe, sister was like brutally murdered. And he basically said, like, if I found out, he's basically like, it hasn't happened yet, but if I found out that some podcast out there had made an episode trying to be funny, trying to be silly, trying to be like whatever about my sister, I would not stop until I was at their front door, pounding on their front door, forcing them to take it down. Like, I would not stop because you should not do that.
Wait, you made that sound like if anyone like does.
Yeah, he basically said if any podcast is going to talk about my sister, I'm going to harass them until they delete the episode about it.
If they don't like talk to,
don't talk about it. No one has done it, I said. No one has done it yet.
No, but did he say who his sister was?
Yeah, he did. But I don't remember the exact names. I don't know. Basically, I just heard this from that podcast. I don't know anything about this story. I just know that this man said that. And so that really, like, struck a nerve with me personally because, like, for example, My Favorite Murder, like, yes, it is a podcast about murder and about true crime, but it is a comedy podcast at the end of the day. And people who are dealing with such horrific things that have happened in their life probably don't think it's that great that there is a comedy podcast episode about their loved one who has gone through something like that.
Yeah. I mean,
and that's basically the point he's making. And I'm not necessarily saying like I gung-ho feel that way. I'm just saying like when I heard that point of view, really resonated with me. No, I totally get that.
But also, this isn't something new.
No, totally, yeah.
Like, people have been fascinated with watching other people get murdered, wondering why other people get murdered since there have been people.
Well, yeah, that's there's nothing to argue that, but that doesn't necessarily mean that the people whose families...
There's just more ways for the families to be hurt now, honestly.
Well, there's just more, it's just more, what's the word?
There's more
saturated.
Yeah.
And honestly, I love that we talk about movies. And I love talking about movies and specifically horror movies.
I'm not saying that.
I'm just saying I have so much more fun sitting down and watching a movie and talking about that than sitting down and researching something kind of brutal, I guess, is what we're saying.
I still want to do that, and I still want to do, like, cults and stuff.
Well, yeah, that's different sometimes. I mean, we definitely don't know exactly what's going to be, like, for sure changing or for sure not, but we did have a conversation just kind of saying how we both felt like we wanted to
stick more to movies right now,
or just basically not go into true crime as much.
Who knows what the future brings us? That's all I'm trying to say. So that has been this week's episode. Make sure to follow us on all the stuff, subscribe and comment, and we will catch you guys next time.